So all is this doesn't leave anything out. So whatever you're experiencing right now, every sensation, every thought is it. Every feeling is it already. Even trying to figure this out is this. The curiosity, the wanting to know is not you. It's this. That's an assumption that I'm here as an entity, and those are my feelings and my sensations, and that there's just nothing that belongs to anyone. Yeah, the me is a sense, a real felt sense of location. It really, honest to God, feels, I swear, across my heart, that I'm here. That's this too. So thinking about this, funny enough, is this. It's this doing every action, every feeling, every emotion, simply because it's all that is. That there's no answer for anything is beyond infuriating to the me. That there like really and truly aren't. There's not an answer actually for anything. And it doesn't mean we can't tell stories, beautiful stories, horror stories, uncomfortable stories, right? Every kind of story imaginable. But that's just this telling stories about itself. You could say that's the cosmic joke when that is sensed or felt or resonated. So again, it's not that you go away or that you're going to disappear. It's that you just never were in the first place. That all those imaginings, those so-called childhood imaginings, were not your doing. It was just what was happening. Just like now. This is just simply what's happening. I mean, so this is what's looked for. This is what's yearned for, is just it's not more in one place than it is another. So the idea of chasing things can drop away. Not that there's anything wrong with doing whatever. There's nothing wrong with anything. So this is an open meeting. Everybody's welcome to participate. If you have a comment or a question, please unmute and jump in. So this is this isn't a belief. It's already the case. It's you don't go on any journey. You don't. There can be a character that seems to go on and try different things, and that's fine. But like the me imagines it's located. I talk located. So the idea that there's all this other thing doesn't occur to the me, because as a me, I'm lost in my story, right? All my attention is here in my story. So forget the clouds, forget the, trees and the birds, forget all of this other beautiful, well, you as everything, as the tree, as the annoying, as the car honking, as exactly what's happening. Yeah, it's funny because last week, Michael, you were talking about inquiry, and it's kind of a funny thing, right? Because I did inquiry for years, and yet it it turns out there's nobody to inquire.
You raise a very interesting dilemma, because in moving from the separate self, the me, to that revelation where there is nothingness and there's certainly no me, there's nothing, there's emptiness. That all of the great masters and wonderful teachers that I've read or studied or meditated with always suggested something like, it's not what we told you, but it's doing what we tell you. It's taking that action. Someone phrased it as using a thorn to remove a thorn. It's very clear to me, or to believe to these teachers, that you are using the mind, the phenomenal mind, to approach or inquire. And it's understood that that's also that. I think there's a gentleman, I believe it was Nkosi, yes, a lovely speaker who really spoke eloquently about it's all that. Everything is that. But that it leaves many people who have residual identities perplexed. Yes, true or false, it's all that, yes, but there's not the tool to apply the thorn to remove the thorn of the I am identity, the quality I am, as opposed to the felt sense or the transcendental divine self-existent knowledge of the I. And again, what do those words mean? It's beyond the words. There's no thing or emptiness. And I was speaking with Faith. She raised the issue, what do you mean separating the men from the boys, or the women from the girls, where you really do what you're told, you really do practice the I am, which interrupts the thought form of the identity again and again, and obstructs it, till at some point it's said that you come to the realization that you are the absolute. But the you that's the absolute is no longer the Michael or the Faith or anyone for that matter. It's just simply pure knowing, pure awareness. So sorry for the long story, but to speak about this is all there is, or Tony Parson does a wonderful thing about, and frustrating to many, all there is what seems to be happening, and nothing's happening, and he's sticking to that story. Of course, he insists there's no one sticking to it, it's just what's being observed. But for most people that have a residual identity and want to nail that residual, it's really going back to the work of the I am of Nisargadatta, or who am I, or whence am I, from Ramana Maharshi, or you can take Lavananda Ananda, originally Franklin Jones, where he talks about avoiding relationship. And do I know what anything really is? So he has his discourse. But there are tools that the residual ego must ponder, or be pondered, is the way Lavananda speaks. Dr. John Samraj is be pondered, let that ponder you, and eventually it lightens up. So you see the dilemma there is in the teaching. There are those that are grounded in that pure knowing, like Tony Parsons and Nkosi, perhaps, and many others. And when you spoke about it's all that, and it's all emptiness, and there's no one here, we can say true or false, yes, that's true. But how come I still have a residual feeling that has an argument with myself? And that's what we're talking about, that residual identity, and putting that under the inquiry.
Yeah, but there's already nobody to do that.
Well, there is and there isn't. You see, there's a delusional part called the sattva, or the residual thorn, And then as you say it often enough, eventually that too disappears. But it's done more naturally, where you've done it internally with your own realization rather than remembering or borrowing or believing that truth. You see, you go through it and it becomes obvious. There's a recognition at some point that you are no thing. There is nothing there, and there's no one to say anything about it. But there is saying about it. And there's apparent thinking about it for no one, about no one.
Well, what's being shared here, Michael, is this isn't a doing. There's already no one there to do or not do, but doing can seem to happen. And even the feeling that
Yes, exactly.
So that's just what's happening. I mean, it's not you doing that.
Yeah.
There's nobody there doing or not doing. There's stories.
I agree that, but you see, there's an illusion here and with others that there is, and until that is separated, you can't argue them out of it, or me or anyone else. That's what the inquiry is used. Otherwise, why have these teachers utilized these many variations of the self-inquiry?
Yeah, it's again, really, and I really mean, there's nothing wrong with anything, you know, spiritual practices are not any more special than skateboarding or pickle or, you know, writing a letter. There's nothing magical. Like the spiritual, it acts like it's just such a holier, my God. This is such a simple message that the mind just can't, it just can't deal with it.
Yes.
All is this, doesn't leave anything out. So there can be seeking there. That can happen. That's this seeking. It's not you. It's this, because there's only this.
I think we're talking about the same thing from different levels of paradox. I agree with you, but I would say the same thing.
It's interesting just observing the dialogue and what's being said, and what comes up is a dynamic that I'm familiar with, that somewhat there is an opinion or a story or a belief asserted, and it kind of, I used to always feel compelled to engage in the dialogue where there is something versus something else. And I think what I'm hearing is being talked about here is that it's all the same source.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, last night I listened to a speaker that I hadn't heard for some time. He was very precious to me before I discovered these meetings. His teaching, his approach, what he had to offer was very healing and of great interest to me for a number of years. And then since I've found the non-dual teaching, I've not listened to him. I've not been drawn to that. And I wonder to myself, why am I what is it about what he had to offer that doesn't attract me anymore? So I listened. After not listening to him for maybe a couple of years, I listened last night, and it seemed to me that it was quite a subtle difference. He was still talking about nothingness and emptiness, but he seemed to be very subtly giving you something to do. And I'm done, you know. So
This is
I
Stephen. I'm sorry. go ahead.
I'll just finish, Stephen. So I rejoice in this message because it doesn't give me anything to do. Admittedly, it makes me stay with stuff that I don't like.
Well, actually, the message is there is no you there already to like or not like. So there's just whatever comes up.
Okay, brother. Anyway, okay, I love it. Sorry, go, Stephen.
Go. Hi, Stephen. Welcome.
Hi, Michael. I'm not bombing this. Am I? You were expecting me, I hope.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah, it's hit and miss. I just don't know about these Zoom bombers, but welcome.
I just didn't want to carry that label around with me. I've been having the same problem as Michael. And the reason I'm here is because I see this process as a focusing process. It's a recentering. So as soon as I get lost in my thoughts, the only thing that is of any value to me is when they cease, and they do that on their own. I can't force that. And one of the things that made me realize what I needed to do, quote unquote, is I remember what Nisargadatta said in his first book. Do not struggle with memories and thoughts. Just give attention to I am. Well, I am is a word. It's a phrase to me. So to me, it's what did he mean by I am? And he explains it throughout his books in many ways. But what I get out of that is that it's basically this. So by focusing on this, to me, I want to say it's a practice, but there's no me involved in this practice. I can't force it. So I just, whenever I have the opportunity, whenever I have the suspension of thought, I go to this.
Exactly.
But then Michael will say there's no I to go to this. Yeah?
I'm sorry, what?
Michael will probably say, Michael Jeffries will probably say to you, there's no I to actually go to this. You said, so I go to this. Well, Michael keeps reminding me there's no I anyway, correct?
Well, there is no I in terms of ultimate reality of existence. But what we're talking about is what Stephen shared, and you have shared, Faith, and I certainly experienced the residual quality I am, the quality of that residual identity. And then when we, and I in this case, apply I am as the recognition that that's the I am, or as Stephen says very succinctly, that is also that or this. that quality I am tends to lose its energy and its focus. And Nisargadatta says gets lost. And all that's left is that quality I am. And then there's the realization that it's only this or only that or nothing or emptiness. You see, then the confession can be made. But when we're left with the confession that there is a residual identity, as you shared last time, that there were beliefs and old tapes or whatever, we all, it was said, Nisargadatta said, the sense I am is always with us. It's just that the matured masters have also been able to wave it off. They don't need any more energy or any inquiry on it. It's just, oh, it's just occurring. And it might arise, but it's seen as ultimately not.
I'm sorry, but I think you missed my point. My point was the silence after the I am. That was my point.
Mhm.
When I said this is it, I was referring to the silence after the word it, not this is it, but
I agree, Stephen. It's just that the tool of using words, or this is it, or this is the self, it really is the silence. But even the word silence interferes with the essence of what that is.
well, that's why I just shut up instead of saying the word silence.
Mhm. Yeah. You see, that's a tricky part. I mean, right there is you caught the nub of the dilemma. You sensed the silence, you said it, but you immediately said, wait a minute, that's a word, that's a thought. I really am aware of something beyond the word silence. And it's in that moment, you see, you made the transition. You got it, or you were it, or that was it. I'm not trying to give you an A or something like that, but that's what the point is. You move from the recognition of language taking more of a hold of you and then seeing its non-essential quality, and it drops away. But I'm speaking not to those that speak fluently from the downloaded disposition of awakeness, but for those that are still residually identifying with that residual identity. And not to feel whipsawed by saying, well, there's nothing there, and you want to scream, well, God damn it, I feel like I want to strangle someone. I mean, what do you mean? I know that there's no one there, but how come I feel this, quote unquote, or have this residual whatever? And I'm not trying to glorify that residual identity, but it's like grease under our fingernail, and it is palpable. And although it is, from those that are more comfortable, and they say, well, it's nothing, let it go, doesn't exist. And one wants to say in return, well, it's easy for you to say that. But you see, but then you have to
well,
address
that takes some study.
Sari.
That takes a lot of study.
Well,
that takes a lot of self-reflection in terms of who am I.
That's right. It takes reflection and the staying with the discipline of the dichotomy of those two states, the quality I am of identity and the revelation of the non-existence, that beyond words there's nothing, that transcendence of self-existence.
Yeah.
That's a lot of words. I liked it better when we were just talking about this. I feel like this whole conversation is just like wah, 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 wah. It's like an exceptional amount of words to complicate what is a very simple thought or a simple concept, which is, it's just this. Like, this is all there is right now.
What came up for me was when Stephen said it takes a lot of study. I felt like it takes a lot of letting go. It takes a lot of unstudy. It takes a lot of just being, because the other, just allowing it to be and being.
But what can, it requires no effort at all to be what it is. That's even, letting go is even too much. It's like already it. There's absolutely no separation. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, Zoe, because like letting go is effort, is an efforting thing too, isn't it? You got to let go.
Well, there's already no you there to let go.
Yeah, you always bring me back to that. Thank you.
That's beautiful, Zoe. To hear you, it's just refreshing. Do you live in that space most of the time? Is that we really,
I like all this stuff. Like I was listening to when you guys were talking about Nisargadatta, there was just this huge seeking energy. And I think I tried just about everything on offer. None of it worked. And I love what Paul Hederman says, but everything has value, because what can a failed system show you? That it's failed, like all the meditation, all the self-inquiry. I mean, I went down that rabbit hole for years. And then, whatever, I mean, this is all story, but somebody sent me a videotape of this girl and something happened. It just started unraveling all the stuff, and that's about all I can say. And Nkosi is here.
Yes, welcome Nkosi.
Hi, Nkosi.
Hi, Nkosi.
Hello, everyone.
We just figured it all out, Nkosi. There are no more questions. There was consensus that there was all this, and this wasn't gonna care.
No, this doesn't mind. That's Kosi.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question. I mean, I guess this whole week has been sort of weird. I have a pretty good friend who lost her husband quite suddenly, and she called me today, and I was on the phone with her for about 2 hours just listening to her because she needed to cry, she needed to process. He was a younger man, and I didn't have any notion to tell her she was not a person. I didn't have a notion to tell her that the words she's speaking really aren't there. And so I just gave her my ear and I cried with her, and I was totally with her. It was a sad situation, and the imagination, when it goes there, it feels really real, like the me feels really bonded to it. But I feel from this place, all I really know is to give her compassion and just be with her, and not throw out some of these things. I think there's a place for them, but I think it would have been really inappropriate for me to use that with her.
Sure.
And sometimes you get the feeling, in this group, I get the feeling that it's just not okay to have imaginations, and it's, we're reminded you're not even there, and it's kind of crazy making sometimes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Alice.
No, that was just my experience this week. It was, I did have a big story going on, and basically I called someone and that's what I was told. And that felt more, I felt more isolated because I was really feeling separated, and I didn't want to feel so separated. So I thought there was a place maybe this person could meet me, but instead, because of those words being spoken, I was even more separated. It was very painful because I think most of us are in the story here, somewhere in the story, and That's been my experience anyway. I don't think Nkosi's in the story. And in my experience, he's like falling on a feather bed, really, whenever I talk to him with whatever story I bring to him, no matter how devastating it is, I feel it's totally received. And he's totally there, and he's like one with me. And that makes all the difference in the world when I have a story. And it's like he takes me by the hand and he guides me to what is true. But I just can't be told you're not a person. That's too painful. Do you want to talk about that, Nkosi?
Yeah. Right now I'm having a bad connection here, but it's okay. I'm able to talk.
I think we can hear you. I can hear you well.
Yeah, that's, you know, this is already wordless as it is. So this it is not against anything. It's not against the story. It's not against or what's to be an individual, because everything that seems to be happening right now is just this expressing itself. So it doesn't really mind what's happening. It's not trying to get rid of what seems to be the me. It's not trying to get rid of the story. It's not trying to get rid of anything, because everything that seems to be happening is just this. So everything is beautiful. Everything is accepted as it is. You know, there's no judgment. Even when the judgment arises, is not judged even, because everything is just this. It's just wholeness expressing as everything. So everything's beautiful. No matter which shape or form it may appear to be, you know, a question and an answer is beautiful. Somebody not getting it, that's okay too, because it's just an expression of this. So it doesn't really mind what's happening, you know. So this is beyond the question and an answer. So the question and an answer doesn't really matter to this, you know. So it's just as it is, you know. There's nowhere to get to. There's nothing really to be done.
So
Go ahead.
you have said to my friend this morning when she called you and just lost her husband and was feeling very sad and just needed to talk for a couple hours and cry. I mean, it was a very tragic situation. I mean, how would you have responded to that? I'm sorry, Nkosi, I can't hear you.
Okay. What's well,
I know you would respond to her entirely different than what I responded, probably. I don't know. Maybe you wouldn't. I just listened to her for 2 hours.
yeah, that was okay too. That was okay too. Because, you know, if I could like say it as it is, you have never done anything. You never did anything. It was just what's happening. You know, it's just what's happening. So whatever words may seem to be coming out, you know, it's just this expressing as that. So really, there's no doer of things, you know. So anything that comes up that should be said, should be conveyed as it is, you know, because there's no individual. It's just this expressing as everything. A question appearing is already this, an answer is already this. So There isn't anybody to do anything here already. So somebody trying to help another person, the whole thing is just wholeness expressing is that. So really, as I always say, there's just life. There's only one life. Nobody owns life. There's just life. So when the body collapses, it's just the body collapsing, but life never collapses. Life is just the way it is. Life never ends because it never began. So it's just life expressing as different bodies, as everything. So there isn't anybody to have his own life or her life here, because there's nobody here. It's just everything.
Yeah.
So the body may collapse, the body may be obliterated, but life remains as it is. life is life is not a man or a woman. Life is life. It's just this. So already there's only this,
Yeah.
appearing as a man or woman, appearing as a child. There is no real child. There's no real woman or a man. It's only what is. You can call it life, God. Words don't matter to this. This doesn't mind. Emptiness, spaciousness. But this, as it is already wordless.
Well, I
It
just have
doesn't
a strong
require,
imagination. I have a strong imagination, Nkosi.
that's beautiful too. That's beautiful. Because it's just an expression of everything. It's just this. It's just everything already. So there's no escape. As I always say, there is no escape.
True. And it comes and goes. It comes and goes.
Yes, yes, everything comes and goes. All the appearances in this come and go. Nothing lasts forever.
I think that all that is does mind, does care. I don't know why we keep saying it doesn't care, it doesn't mind. It will not interfere because it is that, but it doesn't care or that mind. It'll give you freedom. It is freedom. It doesn't mind or doesn't care. I'm going to say that, you know, with Apple, that is God gives great freedom to Alice and her friend to do what they needed to do, and but cared and expressed that caring through Alice. Alice being with that person. I think in that all there is not necessarily for this and not for that. Not in the world of duality, but in the world of the oneness, the non-separateness, that the quality of non-separateness is careness.
or whatever it is you're doing in Nkosi, when I speak with you, I feel like I'm sleeping on a feather bed. I mean, you're right there with me. There's absolutely no me, and I just feel it totally. And I thank you for that. It's so nice to meet someone in this world that has that.
Don, thank you for your share.
You're welcome. Yeah, everything is this, the question appearing, somebody not getting it, somebody saying it does care, it doesn't care, it doesn't mind, doesn't really matter. It's just everything here. So everything is beautiful. Every expression is beautiful. So everything is this.
So that would only be if we don't imagine something, though. I mean, if I imagine something that I'm a me, so by imagination, I have to suffer. And then when I'm into suffering, that's the point where I guess I don't know how to go back and see that I'm not a me. And when I want to talk, to not feel that much separation when I'm in that imagination, if that makes.
When Don shared something that the ultimate nature of the universe is comprised of kindness or love, and that's the ineffable expression of people reaching for something called God, for good or bad in our civilization. But when we feel in that grace state, again, using words, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. So you use the words, I'm happy and I know it, and I'm clapping my hands, but the ineffable quality of happiness is inherent, as is love and the grace and kindness of you sharing with the bereaved Alice. And yet at the same time, there's a moment where you realize you're entering into something called suffering or tightness or the identity, let's say, which left that state of ineffability or oneness. And that's the quality of the I am. So we discern if we're eating the negative energy of our thoughts of separation, we suffer. If we're relieved of that, we feel that sense of grace. Again, if you're happy and you know it, smile or clap your hands.
Michael, I would add being happy for no reason.
Say again?
Being happy for no reason.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the best reason. Yeah, it's our natural state, that happiness.
Exactly.
For no reason and for no one.
Exactly.
Thank you, Leighton.
Or happiness for every reason and everyone,
All of the above.
all inclusive.
That's right. The whole, the universal whole community is all that oneness. The wind doesn't blow for the individual, it blows for the whole collective. So too that love or grace or natural urge to heal the sick and the suffering and the mourning and grieving and comfort. These are human terms and words, but that is the presence of the divine. That is the presence of what one is in the awakened state. The grace of Nkosi, when he envelops all the suffering and presents and stays in the grace of oneness, that's that oneness, that's the loving kindness. Call it what you will. Call it an awakened master. I could also call it the expression of love alone by itself. uniquely expressed through Nkosi.
Any last comments or questions before we close out this evening?
This is a lovely evening.
Nkosi, do you have a baby? That's what we were started off. Alice, or somebody said you have a new baby boy or something. No?
I
Yeah,
didn't
I do have.
was talking about that.
Maybe
Thank
it
you
was
for-
Faith who said it.
Thank you for hosting, Michael.
You're welcome.
Lots of wisdom transpired, showered down. Thank you.
So no one has ever done anything.
But everything got done.
You look very beautiful, Zoe.
Ditto, Alice.
Beautiful. Thanks to each and every one of you for coming. We so love and appreciate all
Thanks,
of
Michael.
you. Nkosi, brother. No
Thanks,
worries.
Nkosi.
Thanks, guys. Have a great evening.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
All right. Bye.
Bye.